Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hope you're all doing well. So, today we're going to talk about a little something different. Okay. For sprinters, this is more, I generally talk about middle distance and cross country and so on and so forth, but we can't ignore the sprinters. Okay. And we're going to talk about how to get them ready over the summer, what to do over the summer to prepare them for the fall. Okay. Hope you enjoy that thumbnail. Pretty cool. Um, and again, it's completely different than middle distance runners and distance runners do, and so on and so forth. It's a different type of attack, and I've spoken to quite a few either sprinters, sprinter coaches, and some of them have athletes take off the entire summer. And I generally am not a proponent of taking 3 months off to get ready to ramp up again. Um, so I want to give you a little bit of a different approach that I work with for sprinters with success for over 2 decades as a coach. Again, if you find this stuff helpful, if you're a runner or a coach, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Okay, if you want access to me directly, my email is blackbeltrunningcoach@gmail.com. Blackbeltrunningcoach@gmail.com. I respond to emails on a regular basis. And I want you to have direct access to an experienced coach who also participated in the sport at a high level. So I do speak from experience. Okay, and one of the most difficult things to get is to access to a coach that's been helpful, right? And it's coached at a high level too. So I want you to have that. Okay, with that said, some things to emphasize. Okay, building off what you did last year. Obviously, if you're just starting high school and you decide you want to be a sprinter, that's a little bit of a different story. Okay, okay. So, but if you're coming back from last year or the couple of years and so on, you want to build off what you did. And what I mean by build off what you did is kind of over the summer, progressively build off what you did last summer if you did last summer. So you want to improve at the fundamental pieces here. Okay, what are the fundamental pieces with sprinting? Well, posture, good form, range of motion, flexibility, right? Um, Particularly in your push-off muscles, your glutes, your hamstrings, right? Your core, your hip flexors, your quads, your calves. These muscles are going to be triggered quite a bit. And you want to make sure that you have a good range of motion in these areas and you're recovering properly from these areas. And that includes good posture and good running form and cadence. Okay. The more effective you are, the more efficient you are, the better off you're going to be in positioning yourself to be more efficient at the end of these races, especially the sprint races, especially when you move up to 400, when lactic starts to creep up in the legs, right? When the form starts to become less efficient. This is when you want to be at your best. Okay. You obviously want to focus on getting stronger too. Strength training. You want to work on your nutrition and the flexibility, like I said, and you want to progress each month. Kind of like I talk about in summer training for cross country, progressing each month is also a good idea to do. Okay. And if you haven't heard, like I speak about progression 150s on a regular basis, which is essentially 50 meters float into 50 meter stride into 50-meter sprint. Each cycle gets progressively faster, each 50 meters, right? So I'm taking a similar approach with the summer training. Now, where you're not doing too much too soon, okay? And I'm also infusing cross training days and lifting days and so on and so forth. For lifting, whether it's 2 to 3 times per week, which is fine, I encourage folks to do functional stuff, moderate weight to moderate to high reps. You can start getting a little bit heavier as the season goes on, as the season's actually here. But the last thing you want to do is compromise your flexibility and your range of motion, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. So any lifting and strength training should be functional to the running that you're going to be doing. Okay. So now let's get right into this. Weeks 1 through 4. And I'm talking about a 12-week summer base here. Okay. Before the fall, before cross country, which sprinters generally don't run anyway. But this will set you up to get you ready to start doing more intense stuff in the fall. Okay. So weeks 1 through 4. I have it broken down. Monday, you're going to work on pure speed, but not necessarily pure speed here. Remember that progression 150? Well, weeks 1 through 4 is the floating stage. Okay, that first 50 meters of the 150. So you're going to work on down starts here. Get used to them. Learn the down starts. Okay. Obviously, you can do a good warm up, drills and strides, but in this particular situation, let's just say it's just a half mile, 2 laps on the track. Then you do some drills and strides. That's your warm up. Doesn't need to be much more than that. Okay. And weeks 1 through 4. So weeks 1, you're going to do 5 by 30 meters. Okay. Ample recovery. Weeks 2, you're going to do 5 by 40 meters. Week 3, 5 by 50 meters. Week 4, 5 by 60 meters. So each week gets a little bit longer in the down start phase, but you're going to still be floating. Okay. You're going to maintain the float speed. Let's just say that's 60% of your full speed, just arbitrarily. Okay. So that's what, and then you can do a cool down on the back end, another half mile, 2 laps, right? Doesn't need to be much more than that. Now, on Tuesday, now we're going to work on something I call speed endurance 200s, which are very, very helpful for short sprinters and long sprinters. Okay. And you're going to build towards 12 reps over the summer, over the entire summer. And let me just give you an example. Talk about people who want to run 50, right? A lot of folks want to run 50, 49, 50 in high school. So the speed, the speed endurance 200s that we're building towards are 29 to 30 seconds per rep. You take a 2-minute recovery. But here in the summer, let's just say you start at 40 per rep and you build towards 12 reps at 40. So it's slow, but again, float. Remember, you're floating here. Okay. You're building the endurance to help set you up for later. Okay. You can even do 6 on week 1, 8 in week 2, 10 in week 3, 12 in week 4. These are slow, so it's going to be easier to run them. Okay, so you're going to build towards 12 of these reps. Okay, and on the back end, you do another cool down. Let's just say the warm-ups and the cool downs are always 800 meters in the summer. Okay, so that's Tuesday, speed endurance. Wednesday's a cross-train day, weights. Right, let's just say you bike for 15 minutes or whatever. Then you do weight training. Okay, and you can even do weight training Monday as well. You can do Monday, Wednesday, Friday if you like. Whatever works for you, whatever works for your athletes is fine. Okay. Thursday, hill reps. Now you warm up your drills and strides. Similar philosophy to Monday, but now you're going to do 5 times at 30 on the uphill. In week 1, 5 times 40 on the uphill week 2, 5 times 50 on the uphill week 3, 5 times 60 on the uphill week 4. At no point are you going longer than 60 meters on these down start on Monday or the hill reps on Thursday. 60 will be your longest rep. Okay. So again, nothing's going to be super long. You're just baking here. You're putting the pieces together to position yourself to have a good fall. Okay, to go over distance in the fall. Okay. And then you do cool down Thursday. Then Friday, you do warm up your drills and strides. You're just going to work on some down starts here and your handoffs. So if you have some friends or teammates, you work on handing off the baton. You work on receiving the baton. Okay. Just to get used to the passing zone, just to get used to that relay. You would be shocked at how much this would help you, how much it would be putting you ahead of your competition if you work on your down starts and your handoffs in the summer and if you do it in the fall. Get used to the passing zones. Get used to blind handoffs. Get used to visual handoffs. Okay, this is what you want to work on Friday, cool down. And then Saturday, alternate. One weekend, you do your cross-training and weights again. Okay, let's just say 15 minutes on the bike or 20 minutes on the bike, and then some weight training. Or on the alternate week, you do a 2 to 3 mile cross-country fartlek run where you accelerate on the uphills. Okay, and you can even accelerate on the flats on occasion too, but you mix it up as you see fit. So that's weeks 1 through 4. Okay, so basic fundamentals, getting used to the things, not doing super long volume on anywhere. Okay, now what happens in weeks 5 through 8? It's a similar philosophy here, but with some caveats. Weeks 1 through 4, you're floating. Now weeks 5 through 8, you get a little bit faster. You're striding now. Okay, this is say 80%, just arbitrarily. Okay, so your down starts Monday. Warm up drills and strides, 5 times 30 meters on weeks 5, 5 times 40 meters week 6, 5 times 50 meter week 7, 5 times 60 meters week 8. Now you're striding. It's a little bit faster now these next 4 weeks. And you do cool down. Okay. Tuesday, speed endurance 200s. At this point, you should have built up to 12, right? Let's just say you're at 40, just arbitrarily. Okay. Now, you're going to do 2 of them These first 2 weeks, weeks 5 through 6, you're going to drop down to 11 reps, but then you're going to drop down to 38 seconds instead of 40. You try to do 11 at 38, just arbitrarily. If you're looking to run 50, if you're girls and you're looking to run 60, you start at 45 for weeks 1 through 4 for the 200s. Now you're down to 43. Okay, that's pretty much it. So this is relatively slow, but this is how you want to. This is what you want to build right now. You get progressively faster in speed endurance 200s because they will get faster in the fall, and the reps will get shorter. Okay, and then weeks 7 and 8, you're going to drop down from 38 to 36 for the boys for 10 reps, or 41 for the girls for 10 reps with 2-minute recovery. Your cool down. Cross training and weights on Wednesday, bike weights, right, or pool weights, whatever you have access to. Thursday, hill repeats, warm up drills and strides, 5 times 30 meters on the uphill week 5, 5 times 40 uphill week 6, 5 times 50 week 7, 5 times 60 uphill week 8. Okay, the progression is the same as it is on Monday. Okay, you walk down recovery, you take whatever you need. But again, these are not balls to the wall. You're attacking the uphills. You get progressively faster throughout the weeks. Okay, and you do your cool down. Again, Friday, you do your warm up, your drills and strides. You're going to work on down starts and handoffs again. This day, you work on your down starts. You work on components of it. Okay, your reaction time, right? Just be in a good position. Okay, accelerating. And you may or may not have blocks. And that's okay. If you have them, you can use them. If you don't, it's okay too. And then handoffs, obviously, you work on blind handoffs and you work on visual handoffs. Blind handoffs for the 4x1s, 4x2s, visual handoffs for the 4x4s and the 4x8s, right? So that's what you work on Friday, then you do your cool down. And then Saturday again, you're still alternating. Okay, cross training and weights, the same as Wednesday on one week. And then you alternate it with a 2 to 3 mile fartlek, cross country fartlek run on the other week. You're alternating each week. And Sunday's always an off day. Okay, in weeks 1 through 12, Sunday's going to be an off day. But this is pretty much it. It's not a ton of running, but it's doing the right things to set yourself up for the fall. Okay, and you've gone from floating in weeks 1 through 4 to striding in weeks 5 through 8, progressively faster with certain components, right? Now, weeks 9 through 12, the progression here. Now you're sprinting. Okay, remember that progression 150, right? You go from float to stride to sprint. This is the sprint phase. So you're down starting Monday, same down starts, you warm up your drills and strides. Now it's 5 times 30 meter sprint on weeks 9, 5 times 40 meter sprint week 10, 5 times 50 sprint week 11, 5 times 60 sprint week 12. You take the rest that you need, and then you do your cool down. The warm up and the cool down will always be a half mile, 800 meters in the summer. It might go up to the mile, to a mile or so in the fall, but that's depending on you, the coaches. Okay, and speed endurance 200s, like I said, now you're dropping down. Okay, so we started at 40 for the men. Okay, and then we got down to what? 38 for 11, 36 for 10 last phase. Now we're going to drop it down again. Okay, we're going to do 34 for 9 reps. Okay, 34 for 9 reps in weeks 9 through 10. And then weeks 11 through 12, you can do 32 for the 200s at 8 reps. And at this point, you'll have gotten progressively faster throughout these. And you'll be building a nice fortress of strength to transition over to the fall where you do the speed endurance 200s. But this is the time that you can build over distance with this. You can go slower and get progressively faster. And for the girls, and we started at 45, then went to 43 and 41. Now you're going to do 9 at 39. Okay, weeks 9 through 10, then 8 at 37, weeks 11 through 12. Okay, if you can. So that's speed endurance 200s. This is a key day for short sprinters and long sprinters. And this is the time to get used to this stuff in the summertime. And again, none of these workouts are going to be super high volume. You're not going to do anything more than 200 meter reps in the summer. Okay, and then you do the cool down. Wednesday, cross training and weights. bike or swim 15, 20 minutes, and then you do some weight training. And then Thursday, you warm up your drills and strides. So you're doing hill reps now. 5 times 30 meter uphill week 9, 5 times 40 uphill week 10, 5 times 50 meter uphill week 11, 5 times 60 meter uphill week 12. Attack them. These can be relatively steep hills if they're short. Okay, these aren't like hills where middle distance and distance runners are doing 800-meter repeats and 600-meter repeats up a gradual hill. It doesn't have to be that way here. It can be a little bit steeper. Okay, or you can even progress. You can get less steep as the hill get longer. It's up to you. Okay, and then you do cool down on the back end. Friday, again, warm up drills and strides. You're going to work on your down starts, reaction time, and handoffs. Blind handoffs and visual handoffs. And again, you do as you see fit. Okay, what you feel is most appropriate, what your athletes need to work on. But this is the time to work on this type of stuff, even in an informal manner. But this really makes it easier for you to do it a little bit more aggressively in the fall. It puts you an entire season ahead. That way, when indoor track comes, winter track comes, you have months of handoff practice in your belt already, right? And you'd be shocked at how much of an advantage it will give you. And then you do cool down on Friday. And Saturday, you alternate again with cross-training your weights on 1 week, 2 to 3 mile fartlek cross-country rowing run on the other week. Weeks 9 through 12. And that's it. And weeks, then every Sunday is an off day the entire summer. Just like it is the entire fall. Just like it is the entire season. But I wanted to keep this simple. Okay? If anybody has any questions, put them in the comments. Okay? This is how I generally get athletes fit over the summer if they're sprinters, short and long sprinters. It's not a lot. It's really not a lot, but certain components of this push you ahead, gives you an advantage, right? And this is where you want to take advantage of this. This is where you want to work on your strength training. This is where you want to work on your range of motion, right? Especially in the push-off muscles, your glutes, your hamstrings, your calves, right? Your hip flexors. You want to work on your core here, your lower back strength. Do these things right now so that when the fall comes, you can make it a little bit more efficient. And again, one of the things that I change in the fall is I do the warm-up and the cool-down of a mile. In the summer, it's half mile. You don't need to do a ton in the summer. But if you can do this, it'll take you no more than an hour a day to get your work done. But you'd be so far ahead when the fall comes that you'll thank yourself later on. So if anybody has any questions, okay, I'll stay on for another minute or two to see if anybody has any questions about this, coaches, athletes, please. That's why I do this every Sunday. I want you to have access to me. I want you to ask questions. And I don't know anybody who else talks about what to do in the for sprinters in the summer. What do I suggest for fall training? Multi-Kenny for sprinters. I'm going to do a video on a live stream on fall training for sprinters. Hi, the Lone Star. What's happening? You're welcome. My pleasure. But I will do a fall training for sprinters, Multi-Kenny, in this particular manner too, so that you know how to transition from this to the fall. It's not much more volume, but it's positioned a little bit differently. Okay, there's a little bit more event-specific stuff in the fall. There's one less cross-training day, right? That midweek one becomes an event-specific workout. That's it. If they aren't doing football, they don't know what to. Well, exactly. If they're not doing football or soccer, they don't know what to do. Soccer generally is 400, 800, but a lot of folks, you're right. If they don't do football, they don't know what to do. And again, the other problem is, football, they're running fast because they're basically running fast for survival, because with the ball, they don't want to get crushed. But this is one reason why I'm doing this too, because I want people to know what they can do if they're not playing another sport in the fall, right? Especially in the summer, because this stuff also puts you ahead if you're playing football in the summer. I mean, in the fall, if you're playing soccer in the fall. That way you're not just going straight into it. And this is where so many injuries occur when people do nothing in the summer and then go right to a sport in the fall, right? And they're not ready to go from nothing to basically explosion on the field. So, but you're right, Kenny. It's a great point. They're not doing football. They don't know what to do. It's true. And this is why, again, why I'm doing this video. This is a very low key video. It's a good time to work on this with your athletes if you're a coach. And as an athlete yourself, it's a good time to take advantage of stuff like this to get ahead. And again, nothing I did here on any of the phases is going to take you a long time. The summer's hot. Okay, so if you get a chance to do it in the morning, I encourage you to do that. Why? Because the sun will have been down for the longest period of time. That means it's the coolest part of the day, even though it's warm out. Okay, and that's exactly when you want to take advantage of this. So, my pleasure, Multi Kenny. I'm glad you find it helpful. And again, one of the things that I wanted to do on this channel is talk about stuff that no one else talks about. Talk about things that coaches don't talk about athletes, that athletes don't talk about with each other, that coaches don't talk about with each other, right? And I want you folks to have access to somebody who's done this stuff and who's modified training, who's learned from training. I've trained sprinters, I've trained short and long, I've trained middle distance runners, distance runners, I've coached up to the marathon, half marathon, at every level. So I want you to have access because we can't just call University of Houston and expect Carl Lewis to pick up the phone, right? We can't call Nike and expect Mike Smith to pick up the phone or Marcus O'Sullivan to pick up the phone. It just doesn't work that way. But I want you to have access to a coach who can be helpful. So I'm glad you find it helpful, Multi Kenny. So, and again, I will do this probably next Sunday, if not the Sunday after. But what to do in the fall for sprinters, how to transition from this summer, and especially I'll give you an option B and an option A. If you don't do anything over the summer, how do you do this in the fall? If you do some stuff in the summer, how do you do it in the fall? It's a little bit of a difference, okay? And I have the same type of thing. Like if you don't run over the summer, how do you train for cross country? Versus if you do run over the summer, how should you train for cross country? Because there is a difference, and it's basically predicated upon keeping athletes healthy, right? And which is important. So, and I have a book that I'm writing that I'm going to be getting published, and it's going to have all this stuff in here. What to do in the fall for sprinters, what to do if for every year in high school, for every year in college, also whether you run over the summer or not, you can have options for both in this book that I'm writing. So it's going to be really cool. There is not a book out there that's like this. So that's the whole point, right? It's folks that have inspired me to do this from this channel and my TikTok account too. Access to Coach is my TikTok. So anybody in that's not subscribed to this channel, please make sure you do that right now. And if you're still with me towards the end, thank you so much. It's so helpful to the algorithm if you stick with me to the end in these videos. So if anybody has any other questions, I'll take it. If not, I'll let you go enjoy the rest of your weekend. And Roosevelt Cooper, good morning. Later this year, Roosevelt, I want to have it. I'd like to have it out before the cross country season starts. That's my goal. I'm putting the finishing touches on it now. And I want to get it out for distribution so people can take advantage of it. So, and that's one of the main reasons why I want to do this book, because there's not a book out there that's like this, right? So I want people, and I've got it reviewed by a lot of people in the industry, a lot of coaches, and I want people to be like, where has this book been? There's nothing out there that's like it. Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So I hope you find it as helpful too. But I'm looking for late summer, Roosevelt. That's the plan. So that gives people something to dig into. Okay. But there's another reason why I did my, summer base training videos already on here, so that if I don't get the book out, right, people can look at this channel here and look at all the videos, and I have them broken down per year in high school and college. So one way or the other, you have options. It's just going to be in greater detail in the book, and it will be broken down. So, any other questions, everybody? Thank you, folks, for joining me this morning, too. I appreciate it. I love to do this every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time. You can ask any question you want. So, and I want you to get them answered. There's no bad questions. You can ask what you want. You can ask whatever you want. But go have a great day, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And if you're still training, if you're still competing, whether it's nationals and so on and so forth. Congratulations, and I wish you a lot of luck. Okay, and may you run fast. May your teammates run fast. Have a great rest of the season, gang, and a great weekend. Talk to you next time.